a lot of people know you from Compton City G's,
Right.
but not everyone knows your background story. Now, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Compton, California.
Compton.
Yeah, right by the Compton Airport, off a street called Alondra, and the street I lived on is called Harlan.
Okay. Now, a lot of people have painted a picture of Compton in
Yeah.
terms of like the gangs and the violence and stuff like that. Like, how much of that did you actually experience yourself?
I mean, my whole life. You know, like when I was young, gangs was more like family. You know what I'm saying? The violence wasn't really there. I mean, like the worst that'll happen is we'll have a fight. Somebody may get stabbed, might get hit with a stick or a bat, but that was it. When I became a teenager is when it became violent. You know what I mean? So it wasn't always a bad thing. It wasn't like when I was young, your parents didn't really sway you from being with your friends in the neighborhood because we was all like family. Our parents kicked it together when they was younger, grew up together, and we, you know, the children, you know, connected the same way.
Right.
But becoming a teenager, when the drugs, the guns came, that's when it went all bad. You know what I mean?
I recently saw this little special about Compton during the 90s and the 80s, and they showed a map of Compton, and they
Right.
showed the gangs in the different parts of Compton, and essentially apart from a couple of warehouse districts,
Right.
it was all gang controlled in every section, whether it was Crips, Bloods, or the Latino gang.
Absolutely.
And that's
the way
correct.
it is. Yeah.
Like there's literally no empty blocks where
There's none. There's not one space of neighborhood where a gang doesn't reside. Yeah.
Okay, now based on the way you spell your name with the double C, I assume that you're a Crip.
It was Crips, yeah. Nutty
Okay.
Block Compton Crip, yeah.
Okay, so what was it that you were associated with?
Nutty Block Compton
Nutty
Crip.
Block, Compton Crips.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other rappers or anything else like that that people know about that's sort of associated with that area?
Well, King T lived
okay.
there. Mixmaster Spade, if you ever
Yeah,
heard.
of course.
He's not from there, but his mom always lived there, so he was always there. And besides my brother Drace the Gangster, like that's really it. Like far as you know, people that's on a big scale like that, yeah.
Now, how caught up did you get during that time when you were a teenager?
Man, look, I did 10 years in prison, so
10 years in prison?
yeah.
For what?
For attempted murder.
Okay. Can you talk about that situation?
Yeah, basically, it was like a feud with some of my own homeboys from my neighborhood. Like basically during this time, me and some of my other homeboys, we was all frontline soldiers in the neighborhood. And there was some other guys that was from my hood his brother got killed or whatever. And so he kind of had a problem with the guy's family who killed his brother. Like it was all crazy. It wasn't on purpose. You know, it was a lot of drugs involved, so it was some crazy stuff that ended up happening. But his brother ended up getting killed, so naturally he had a problem with the guy's brother because he was already in jail, so he wanted to get back at his brother and whoever he hung around. So one of my young homeboys and the guy's brother, you know, they kicked it real close, and I ended up having a baby by one of their cousins. And one night I was in my neighborhood, I kicked it to like maybe about 4 or 5 in the morning, and I left. And I came back. I lived in this area too at the time. I lived in North Hollywood. But when I came back to the neighborhood, I was driving up the block. I seen a bunch of people in the street, and I'm like, something happened. So when I pulled up, they told me my homie J-Rock got shot. And I was like, by who? And they was like, such and such. And I just drove over there. I went over there, I jumped out the car, chased everybody on the street, busting on them, boom, 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 boom. Came back on the street. I thought they was gonna come back, you know, we get into a shootout, but they came with the police.
Did you actually hit anybody when you were shooting?
I don't think so. I don't think nobody got hit. Everybody started ducking, running behind cars,
Okay.
and all that shit.
And then they called the police on you.
They called the police, yeah.
They testified?
Initially, they gave a statement. It was probably about 10 or 15 people out there. So I think out of them, like 4 people gave a statement. And when they came to court, actually, they changed their statement. And the only thing that messed me up was my alibi, because I tried to give an alibi for that, and I should have acted like I don't, because I ran on the case for like a year and some change, and I could have, you know, in a span of 15, I ain't gonna even say that, in a span of 5 minutes in a day from something I did a year and a half ago, I didn't have to remember where the fuck I was at or what I did.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I tried to, it being my first time up against the justice system in that way, I'm thinking, oh, I got to have an alibi. So I tried to come up with something, and it just didn't pan out. And that's kind of what got me convicted.
Okay, so the jury found you guilty?
No, I didn't go pick a jury. I pleaded.
You pleaded to 10 years?
Yeah, because like once, the first time around, they dismissed the case. But because I was on probation, I never got released. You know what I mean? So what they did was they still held me in county because I was on probation. So they had me on a probation hold. And then the second time when I started the process over, one of the witnesses that they couldn't find initially, they found him. He was hiding out of town. So now my lawyer came and said, well, we're back at 50-50. We don't know what this guy gonna say. And he's one of the people who gave a statement initially. So I was like, fuck. So she was like, we can either go in here and pick jury, or you can take this plea. Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, what's the plea? She said 10 years with 85%. I was like, what? I'm 22 at the time.
What were you facing had you blown trial?
I was facing 17 to life.
Oh, so you were potentially doing life?
Absolutely.
At 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
8.5 years doesn't sound too bad.
No, but I ended up doing more because they gave me 3 more years, like probably like my 5th year where I was in jail. Brought me back down for violating that probation I told you that held me in. Yeah. And you know, so I ended up doing like 10 years and 4 months altogether.
So you came out at 32, 33?
34.
34.
Yeah.
Is it a diss or is it not a diss?
Nah, it ain't a diss. It just me stating facts, like letting you know, like that ain't something that we honor. Like we don't joke about that. Like we done lost homies over that shit. So it just letting you know I'm stating facts.
Like he didn't care about that, man. Like,
oh, but he was doing a diss record.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because you got to understand, Easy's a smart man. You know what I'm saying? And he always was looking for a way to gain something from publicity.